think we're good. Let's see. Erase this over here. We should be live. I think so. All right, this should be a fun video. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com, and in this video we're going to talk about how to make fluent sentences. Well, let's see, we got somebody. Oh, I'm the first. Nice, Phil. All right, everybody is starting to funnel in, to file in. So today, this is a big problem for learners. It's really the fundamental problem of communication, and that's why I wanted to make a video about this specifically. So it's great to learn new vocabulary, but if you can't actually put everything together in your sentences, then you're really, you're obviously not going to get anywhere. You'll be wasting your time. So nice to see everybody here. As usual, I will get right to the lesson at the beginning, and then I will stay around and answer questions if anybody has any. So we're going to talk about, I made something for you guys. Look at this. It's a little origami boat. Hello. Well, hi from hell. Somebody's watching this in hell. Oh my goodness! I didn't know they had Wi-Fi down in hell, but I guess everybody's everybody's enjoying themselves. All right, so we're going to use this origami boat. But the basic idea of what we're going to talk about today is that you really have to have the actual individual pieces of communication. So these are like your words and phrases. And just like a chain, we're going to draw a very simple chain here. It's not a very good chain, but basically, maybe you have some similar expression in your native language where the chain, I'll write this down, so the chain, or I'll just say a chain, because it's really any chain, so a chain. Does everyone know this expression, or maybe you've heard this before? Wow, it's 4 a.m., oh my goodness. So a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Who has heard that before? Maybe you've heard me talk about that if you've been following my channel for a while. This is the same idea that applies to all of your communication skills. So as an example, maybe you know a lot of vocabulary, but you feel very shy. So if the weak link in your communication chain is shyness, then that's going to be the biggest thing that's stopping you from communicating. Okay, so a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and the idea here is for sentences as well. So if we've got words, we're connecting different words together in a sentence, and if the words themselves are not very strong, then the whole sentence will be weak. So it only takes one word to break the chain. Okay? Does everyone make sense, or is that making sense to everyone? So a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So what I'm going to show you in this video, I really want to prove that fluency is built word by word as you understand vocabulary very well. I want to make this idea very clear for people because people think they need to go after like the whole language when really they should be really mastering individual words and phrases, and grammar is part of this as well. But when you do this, you automatically improve your grammar, your pronunciation, your listening. All these skills will improve. All right, so let's take a look. So I have my little boat with me, and I thought that would be a good way to teach you some very useful vocabulary. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll talk about putting those things together in a sentence in just a moment. All right, so I made my origami boat this morning, especially for you guys. I had to learn how to make this, and of course, just go online and learn how to make a little boat. But what I'm going to do is use this boat to teach you some very useful vocabulary. So let's get started. So the first vocabulary we're going to practice, you probably see me use this before. It's a common example I use And this is the phrasal verb to go under. To go under. So imagine you have a boat right here, and this is, you can imagine my hand is the surface of the water, and the boat is moving like this, and oh no, something happens, maybe it gets hit by lightning or something, but oh no, now the boat is going under the surface of the water. So the boat is sinking, okay? It's pretty easy concept to understand. So right now we are above the water, now we are going under, to go under, when you go under. So it's the same thing like if you're going underground or you're going under, like under a blanket or something like that, to go under, to move. So if we have an object here, we're going to go from here down under that thing, to go under. All right, so very simple phrasal verb, to go under. Now, if we take a physical idea like this, to go under, we can also use the more figurative idea of like a company going under in the same way. So a company, you might have the profitability of a company. Let's say a company is making money. So a company is making money, and then suddenly, oh no, it's not making money. And if it passes this line here, just like a boat, oh no, it's going under. So just like a boat going under, something like that, it's actually going under this line, going into bankruptcy. So if we talk about a company going under, so a company going under. What we mean is it's going really below this line. So it's not making money anymore, and it's actually becoming, basically it's going to go bankrupt. Okay? All right. Any questions about that? I really want to make sure everybody understands this. To go under, it's a pretty simple idea, and I thought, again, this boat would help you understand that. All right. Any questions about that? I really want to make sure you understand this, because, again, if you don't understand even the basic pieces of a sentence, then, of course, you're not going to make fluent sentences. Okay? So here we have to go under, and then a company is going under in the same way. Doesn't look like any questions about that, so let's move on to little phrase number 2. All right. So this next phrase, it's a little bit more complicated, but it's the same basic idea. All right. So undercover, yes, it's the same way again, like when you talk about being undercover, same idea. All right. So going under, we'll put that phrase up here. We'll leave that. And the next phrase is to be in the same boat. To be in the same boat. So we got one person sitting over here, another person sitting over here on the same boat. What do you suppose that means? What does it mean to be in the same boat? To be in the same boat. All right. Now we could use, there could be an expression like a car, to be in the same car, to be on the same train or something. But the reason we use to be on the same boat is because a boat is really just floating by itself out in the water like this. And whatever happens to one person is going to happen to the other person. All right? Or it could be many people on the same boat. Yeah. So Muhammad says to be in the same situation. But I really want to make, so very good, that's correct. And I want to make sure people understand why that is. All right? The goal is not just to learn the vocabulary and then a definition of it, is to understand why we use this. Okay? So the history, the origin of the word, why do we have this? So you can imagine, two guys or two women or whatever, two people sitting on a boat, and now there's a hole in the boat. Oh no. So they are in the same situation. It doesn't matter who the person is. They are both in the same situation. They are in the same boat. So this is why we don't use to be in the same car. Like I don't say, oh, I'm in the same car as you, because we just get out of the car and walk away. But with a boat, you're surrounded by water. There's nowhere to go. You're stuck. You're in the same boat. You're in the same situation. So you all have to work together to do something. All right? So whatever happens to the boat will happen to everyone. If the boat is going under, everybody. Okay? Yes, the same character, guys. That's right. We'll put some hair on this guy over here. All right? So they're in the same situation. And this is the physical idea of where this comes from. But I want to make it clear why we say you're in the same boat and not on the same train or on the same whatever. All right? It makes sense? All right, glad to hear it. Now, we begin again, just like going under, we have a physical idea of the origin of this. Something is physically going under something else. And then we start using more figurative uses. We start coming up with different ways to use the vocabulary in a more figurative way. So we have to go under, then to be in the same boat. So what times might we use this expression? It's not just for physically being in a boat. When else might you be in the same boat as someone else? All right. So remember, we're thinking about it not just from a physical, okay, here are 2 people or 3 people or 10 people in an actual boat. We're talking about a situation. So when else might we have a group of people working together to do something? Just give me a comment. Let me know what other situations might we use this phrase in to be in the same boat. All right. I'll give you a few. Hopefully you can come up with a few more. You might be on a team together. You might be in a class. Can you think of any more? Love your pronunciation. Glad to hear it. Yes, I am being intentionally clear and smooth so people can understand what I say. So you could be on a team together. So everyone on the team wins or loses at the same time. Everyone in the class, maybe they all have to do something together. A family, a business, excellent. Family, we'll just put biz for short. Financial situation, yeah, for sure. So if you have a group of some kind, and it might even just be 2 people. A project. Are you speaking about a company that closes for financial reasons, for example? Yeah, to be in the same boat. Yes. Again, it doesn't mean, it's not necessarily negative. It just means that you're in the same situation. So let's say my daughter is going to college next year, and I meet another guy just like out at a grocery store, and we start talking about our kids, and he says, oh, my daughter is going to college. I say, oh, we are in the same boat. We're in the same boat. It just means we have the same situation. Okay? So it's nothing about being negative or money specifically or business. It just means you have the same situation as someone else. All right? So it's not only negative things. Often we will talk about, as I just said, when I'm doing something similar to someone else, and this is a great phrase. Maybe you discover this when you're meeting somebody and like, oh, like I'm also moving to a new city. I'm in the same boat. Or we are in the same boat. Or you can be talking about someone else. So maybe I'm talking about my kids. My younger daughter just started school, and she's maybe feeling a little bit nervous. Oh, you also know someone else who is starting school, and maybe they feel a little bit nervous too. They are in the same boat. They are in the same boat. Okay? Everyone getting all these? Should be pretty clear. Let's see what we got with the chat over here. Like a movie scene. Yep. A political decision. Yep. Very good. So in workplaces, family, business. Yeah. So all those are great examples. And the point is, again, it could be a team, it could be a group of people, or it could be just, 2 people that meet and they happen to be doing the same thing. Okay? I really want to make it clear that we're all in the same boat here. So you are trying to improve your language skills? That's very good. I'm trying to improve my language skills too. We are in the same boat. We are in the same boat. Yes, another good example, another similar thing is to be on the same page. Now, as you begin getting more and more fluent and learning things, you will hear again, we have a situation. So the situation is at least 2 people are doing the same thing, and look at that. We have many different ways of expressing that. So the situation is, I'm doing something, oh, you're doing the same thing. Well, we are on the same page. We are in the same boat. Now, typically, on the same or in the same boat, this is really talking about a situation. To be on the same page is almost more specifically about, do we agree about something? Or are we understanding each other about something? So let's say right now I'm explaining something about vocabulary, and I want to make sure you're listening and paying attention and understanding what I'm saying. So, are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? So just like a page in the book, or a page in a book. So we are both reading a book. I want to make sure we are reading from the same page. Reading from the same page or reading the same page of the book. Okay? So it's very similar, a little bit different, again, on the same page, again, similar to being in the same boat, but you'll hear both of these quite frequently. There is another example, like reading, and this is another similar one about people having the same idea. And you will probably hear variations of this as well. This is to read from the same hymn sheet. Does anyone know what that is? What is a hymn sheet? To read from the same hymn sheet. To read from the same hymn sheet. It's basically the same meaning as to be on the same page. It's just a more specific usage from like reading hymns. So these are songs that you would sing in church. A hymn. So people are reading from the same hymn sheet, or they are singing from the same hymn sheet. It just means, again, they are on the same page. They are on the same wavelength. To be on the same wavelength as someone. All right? So if I'm here, I'm on this wavelength, but you're on some other one over here, we're not aligned somehow. There's something wrong with the way we are seeing, or we disagree about something. But if we are on the same wavelength, well, we agree, everything is going smoothly. Okay? Yes, so you will hear most of these things. These are as you go deeper into the language and you are paying attention for the kinds of things natives say in situations. So remember, we begin with a situation, and then these are the kinds of phrases that natives will use. All right? But notice what I'm doing here. I'm staying on one particular topic, one particular idea, and really helping you understand that thing. So trying to teach a lot of different phrases, explain why they work, where they come from. So you can imagine, like, again, on the same wavelength. So we are on the same wavelength. Or we are reading from the same hymn sheet. All right? We share the same opinion. Yes, so that is when native speakers are trying to be more figurative or say something a little bit maybe fancier or poetic or more interesting, this is what we would say. We are on the same wavelength. We are on the same wavelength. All right? So these specifically, like to be on the same wavelength, or to be reading from the same hymn sheet, or to be on the same page, those really mean we agree about something, or we understand each other. To be in the same boat is a bit more broad, where we're talking about some situation we're both in. So I might not like agree about something, but we're in the same situation. Often you will have people in the same boat who do disagree. So imagine we have a company, so obviously it's not a physical boat, but we have a company, and we have a couple of different people on that boat. And each one of them is disagreeing with the other. But they're all in the same boat. So they have to figure out a solution to their problem, or they're all screwed. They're all going to have a problem, okay? So remember, like, these people might not be on the same page. They might not be on the same wavelength. They might not be on the same or reading from the same hymn sheet. So if you imagine like some people in church singing, they have their, like, the music that they're reading for that church service. Okay? Yes, Julian, so now we are on the same page. We understand each other. Okay? Yeah. So remember, when you learn these things, you will notice the subtle, slight differences between these different expressions. And the way to understand them is to really pay attention to the situation and then what people are saying for that situation. Okay? So remember, we can be on the same boat and still disagree. Often this is what happens. Let's say we all, like maybe 10 of us, want to get, we want to get some pizza. We are hungry and we want to order a pizza. Okay, what kind of pizza do we get? So we are all in the same boat. We are hungry. We all want something to eat, and the only thing to eat is pizza. But we might not be on the same page about what kind of pizza to get. Okay? Does that make sense? Pretty easy. So we have a couple of different things. Maybe I want cheese. Maybe you want pepperoni. Maybe someone else wants sausage. So just like all the different people in a company or in a group, you're going to have some different agreements. They might not all be on the same page, on the same wavelength, reading from the same hymn sheet. Okay? So again, I'm repeating myself. I'm going over these again and again because I really want you to understand the vocabulary. Remember that if we want to use these things in sentences, so a sentence is a chain of words. That's it. It's just a chain of words. And so if we can't use any of these individual words correctly, then of course we're going to struggle to make fluent sentences. So we must be fluent in each individual thing. If we are going to learn something, we focus on it until we really understand that thing, and we are going to do that by, look at this, all these different angles, okay? So if you have a problem, this specific problem with communication, where you know a lot of words, but you actually can't connect them well in situations, it's because you really don't know them as well as you think you do. It's because you don't spend enough time actually reviewing things and really understanding them, okay? So often people will try to learn something, like they'll go to a website and okay, here are some phrases I can learn, but they don't really help you understand them like a native. And when you understand something like a native, you know it well, you understand why we use that thing, you've reviewed it a number of times, you feel very confident about that vocabulary. So if you feel confident about each of the pieces, each of the links in this chain, then of course you're going to be able to connect the chain and communicate fluently, all right? Now, for anyone joining us late, this video is not specifically about blending words together. This is actually about using words fluently. So how do you create smooth speeches, all right? So it could be smooth sentences or whole conversations. But each one of these is built from the individual pieces, okay? Any questions about that so far? So we've covered two words or two phrases, but we're talking about being on the same wavelength, reading from the same hymn sheet, on the same page, and these are all really about agreement. To agree about something. We share the same idea. I want to do this. Oh, you want to do that also? Wow, I guess we are on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength. We're on the same page. Are we on the same page? Is everyone on the same page about this way of learning? Does anyone disagree with this? Does anyone disagree? Is anyone not on the same page? All right? So again, this video is for people who know a lot of words, but they still can't express themselves fluently. The reason this happens is because you don't have the individual links of the chain very strong. So that's why in this video, I just want to cover this, just teach you a few phrases, and then because we've learned them very well, you'll be able to put them together in sentences. Or you can add these phrases to other sentences that you already have, okay? So we'll cover that in just a second. So the first phrase we covered was, does anyone remember? To go under. And we take the boat example of a boat going under the water. Okay? So the boat is going under. Oh no, here's the boat. It's in the frame right now, the frame of the camera. So Julian is asking if these are expressions for, what is that? for informal conversation. No, you can use these for anything. Basically, everything I teach can be used in business. It can be used in casual conversations. So you can be on the same wavelength with like a romantic partner. You could be on the same wavelength with a business partner. You could be on the same wavelength with a friend. And this is, again, like people think there is specific business vocabulary, but the technical information or the technical terms that you might use in a business situation, that's a very small and not so important part of actual business communication. Business communication is how can I communicate things in a simple and easy way, and maybe sometimes I have to say something a little bit more interesting. But the important thing is that you will hear things like this in business situations, especially if you're dealing with native speakers. People will be in business and they will be using idioms or expressions or phrases that come from relationships or war or sports or other things like that. So I have, like, let's say one person, I'm at a company and a friend of mine has to give a presentation after me. So I'm giving a presentation first, so I'm up to bat. I'm up to bat. This is a phrase from baseball, and I'm using it in a business context, a business setting. So I'm up to bat, it means I'm the one giving the speech right now. I'm the main event. I'm the highlighted person. I'm up to bat. But my friend who is next to me, or he's coming up to speak after me, so the person who is next on to bat or next up to bat in a baseball game is on deck. So you have the batter. If you're watching a baseball game and you listen to these phrases, you will use these in business communication as well. Lots of sports idioms and sports expressions, especially from baseball or football, because a lot of these things are connected, okay? I don't want to get too distracted. Now we're talking about a bunch of different things. I really wanted to just stay focused on this. But again, the important point here is that we focus on something so you really understand that. Now, before we go on to the next phrase, let me see if we have any questions over here. All right, looks like a bunch of questions came up here. Good questions from everybody. All right. It is also to put someone in my shoes. Yes, again, another good expression, like if you are putting, like to be in the same shoes as everyone else or as someone else, usually this means you could be doing something that someone else did, but it's not at the same time, okay? So if you're talking about, if you want to use the expression to be in someone else's shoes, you could use this like to be in the same boat. You could say, oh, I was in the same boat last year. I was in the same boat. So if we are actually, both of us are at the same time doing something, okay, now I'm in the same boat as you. Or if you just, this is about connecting with other people, showing empathy. And so when you are in a conversation, you're talking about someone else maybe doing something at a different time, say, oh, like I was in the same boat last year. So my daughter just graduated college and your daughter is graduating college in 2 years, okay? So who's in the same boat? Yeah, so you could ask if I'm describing a situation right now, I just moved to a new city. So if I'm giving a speech in front of a group of people like this, I just moved to a new city, is anyone else in the same boat? So I'm asking, is anyone else experiencing the same situation right now? Is anyone else in the same boat? Okay. So it doesn't need to be a bad experience or a good experience. It just means the same situation. So I could also say, I just got fired from my job. Is anyone else in the same boat? I just got fired from my job. Is anyone else in the same boat? All right. So that's a negative usage, but we're still talking about people being in the same boat. And notice how that's a little bit different from being on the same wavelength. So someone else could be fired from their job, just like me. So we are both fired from our jobs. We are both in the same boat, but maybe we hate each other or whatever. So we're not reading from the same hymn sheet. We're not on the same page. We're not on the same wavelength. We're just in the same boat. All right. Let's go back and answer some more. But very good. Lots of people commenting here. Nice to see. All right. So, yeah, so people understanding, yes, I'm in the same boat over here. All right. Let's see. Business says, I really need to learn fluent English, but most of my use case are in business situation, pitching to investors, etc. Does your course include business English? Yes. So number one, Fluent for Life does include specific topics that do have business-related material. So we talk about sales and marketing. We talk about money and investing. Accounting is in there. Small business. A couple of different things. But it's important to remember that native speakers are using, just like I explained, sports idioms for talking about business, relationship idioms for talking about business. So it's not just, you don't like have a course about business English that only teaches you technical vocabulary, because you're still communicating with people. And this is the big mistake that most people, even native English speakers, make when they're trying to learn business English. So there was a guy who created an English course, I think 100 years ago. His name is Sherwin Cody, and he made a couple of different courses actually. And he created one for business, specifically for people learning business English, and this is the exact same lesson that he was teaching. I actually got that course just to see what he was teaching, and he's teaching the same thing. So a lot of people, they will use technical vocabulary, or they will try to sound more like a corporate, like, we regret to inform you that we have terminated you from, so they're using that kind of vocabulary. But actual business communication is really done, you're still speaking with people. All right, so although we do cover specific business topics, we also make it clear in the program that, look, here's a way you can use this same vocabulary for business. Here's the way you can use this for talking about relationships. Okay? And so what I'm doing when I'm teaching you this is to show that we don't want to just learn vocabulary, we want to understand the situation when people would use that, because this situation can happen in many different places. I might have a situation where I'm in the same situation, like in the same boat, in business, in relationships, ordering a pizza, getting stuck in the rain, having my car break down. There are lots of reasons why I might be in the same situation as someone else. And I might want to use something like in the same boat as a way to connect with that person. So I could say, oh, look, we are experiencing the same situation. We are experiencing the same situation. But it's much more native and natural to say, we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. And so this is something natives will understand because they've heard this so many times in their life from all kinds of situations. All right, so don't draw a very strong line between, oh, this is business English and this is casual English over here. All right, the real world doesn't work like that. All right, good question though. Of course, now we get, it moves my comment space. Google needs to change that so I can see where my actual comments were and I don't have to leave my finger up here for you guys. All right. I think we answered those already. Yeah, so political discussions as well, same thing. So we are on the same page. Is it common? Yes, very common. So we are all on this, so in the same boat trying to reach our fluency goal. Yep, that's a very good use. Very good use. Crescendo, very good. Emmanuel says, hey, Andrew, nice to see you there. Julian, don't worry, I'm in the same boat. There we go. Is it wrong to be on the same boat? Well, you could say that. Like, technically, you can be on a boat or in a boat, but the expression is really to be in the same boat. If you're ever trying to learn something like this and you're curious, is it on or in, I would just put those phrases into Google. So just type the whole phrase into Google and see which one gets more hits. So if you type in on the same boat or in the same boat, you will get you should get more. I haven't checked, but I'm guessing you would get way more for in the same boat. We're in the same boat. Although you will have people like just talking about being on a boat, because you are on a boat as well. really the idea of being in the same boat is like you're kind of physically surrounded by the boat. So a larger boat, like when you talk about like a cruise ship. So a cruise ship is like a pretty big thing. So we would say, oh, I'm on the cruise ship right now. Just like you would talk about being on a bus or on a train. But when you have a small boat like this, the idea of the phrase is that, okay, we're really in actually a tiny boat that maybe only 2 or 3 people could fit in, like a rowboat. And in that way, it's like a bowl that you sit inside. So that's where we get the expression. Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right, so it's the first time to hear that expression, says Muhammad. Yep, well, now you know it. All right, good job, Professor. Hi, Coach. Greetings from Nicaragua. So in the same boat, on the same page. All right. In the same institution. That's correct. All right. I like this guy. He is so humble. Well, you are too kind. I'm guessing you're talking about me. I like the way you teach. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So when people talk about liking the way I teach, what I'm really doing is just making the language understandable so you can use it fluently. When you understand the language like a native, you start thinking like a native, and then you speak like a native as well. All right. You are a great teacher. I'm having a problem to speak English. You're a good teacher. I like your courses. Glad to hear it. Kevin says, does it matter whether you learn new vocabulary initially through translation or through the target language as long as you get a lot of examples and a lot of review? To my mind, it doesn't matter whether they use translations or understand it through the L2 because it's going to be forgotten anyways without review. To me, the most important thing is getting a lot of examples as you recommend. Yes, I mean, I don't understand the point of teaching unless you're going to remember the vocabulary. So that would be the basic idea is that we should do everything we can to make the vocabulary understandable and memorable. And so if you're just saying, well, here's a translation, and then maybe you get some examples, maybe you forget it, maybe you don't. If you don't really care, like if you're trying to prepare for a test, in that way it doesn't really matter, and maybe they don't actually need to use the vocabulary later. So some people just want to get vocabulary and learn it quickly and pass a test, and maybe they don't care about using English at all. They just want to get a job or something, and that's fine. But if you want to actually speak, you really should give yourself as many chances as you can to understand that vocabulary all in English. The reason most people will use translations in a class is because they're not doing a good job of making the vocabulary understandable. All right. And when you do that, then you're making it more difficult for students to remember what they say. And that's, again, one of the reasons that we have these problems. So it's okay to use translations if you don't care about communicating fluently. But even like I don't use any translations at all when I teach. I might use I'll give some examples in Japanese just to show what it's like for people who don't know Japanese, and they can learn something and see what it's like, kind of to learn like a child again. But all the teaching I do is helping people understand something in English, and I would rather make it understandable in English than try to give them a translation. So a translation is kind of the easy, simple, quick thing you can do, but really I'm trying to help people build a network in their mind, and the network is what creates the fluency. All right, read the rules to make sure we are on the same page. Yeah, exactly. Perfect usage of that. I learned a lot from you, says Emmanuel. Some advice for preparing for IELTS essays. I am on my way doing that. Yes, I'm not an authority on IELTS. I would look for teachers who are. I'm glad I've helped you. And again, anybody taking any kind of test will improve if they learn the native way. Just like native speakers do. I should actually take the IELTS and see what it's like. I wonder how I would do. But again, the point is find someone who is an expert in the particular test and get advice from that person. Let's see. Red Kit. To be fluent, it is important that there are connections between the words in English in someone's brain. We can achieve it by seeing the words in a lot of context. Yes, so this is the idea of naturally varied review, which is what we're doing today. So I'm giving you vocabulary review, really going over things. So if you notice, like we've been talking for almost 40 minutes in this video. And in a regular YouTube video, you might cover, I don't know, like 20 different phrases, and then you get a quick definition, and then that's it. And then you just forget the thing that you learned. So my goal here is to really push this deep into your brain, help you understand it, to make another link strong for you to use in your conversations. Okay, that's why we do this. So Jericho says, my problem is that even though I get all the expressions, I can't think of them directly in real conversations. All right, the question I would ask is, do you really know the vocabulary as well as you think you do? So there's a difference. Remember, I made that video a while back talking about getting exposure to the language, then awareness of the language, and finally ownership. I'm trying to make it so easy to understand this that you really own the expression, that you really understand it very well. So you can easily say to someone, it just pops into your mind, oh, look, we're in the same situation. I'm here, you're here, we both were running for the bus and we both missed the bus. Now we have to wait for the next bus. So we are in the same boat. We are in the same boat. All right, when you know something so well, you understand it, you can really see it. That's where the phrase comes from. I understand why we use that expression. You can imagine, two people in a boat way far out in the ocean, and that's it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing, but whatever happens to the boat is happening to both of them. So they are in the same situation. They're in the same boat. And notice these are all basic words in the same boat. These are words that little kids would learn. Like all of my daughters know all these words. So even a 4-year-old would know these same expressions, or they would learn this expression by hearing natives talking about that. Oh, look, here's the situation, and here's the vocabulary we use for that. We are in the same boat. Okay, so everybody watching this video is in the same boat trying to improve their fluency. You're in the same boat. All right. So hopefully this makes sense. The whole point of this video is to say you must get fluent in these individual words and phrases. That's how you make fluent sentences. We're going to show you a little bit about that later, but I just want to make this point very clear. I'm going to say it again and again, as I usually do. You get fluent word by word. If you learn something quickly and then forget it, then of course you can't use it fluently in conversations. You will remember it. Maybe when you hear it, I understand what that word is, but you won't recall it quickly and automatically and use it fluently in conversations. Okay? All right. So all the phrases use on except for the boat, we use in for that one. Yeah. So we're, again, try not to think about it. And this is a really good, a good example here about thinking more like a native. So a learner looks at these phrases and it's like, oh, look, like to be on the same wavelength, or to be reading from, or to be on the same page. But he said in the boat. That's interesting. And you're trying to form a kind of pattern the way a student would, but you really have to think about this like a native speaker. All right. Now, I have a piece of paper towel over here. We're going to use this like a napkin. So imagine this is a sheet of paper. All right. It's a page in a book. So I'm looking at a physical thing, and when we have something like the writing is on the same page, it's like physically on there. And so I might be like, I can't really go inside the page. The page is a flat object, and you can't go inside. I can't be in the page, but because I'm looking at this page, it's like I'm not on this page, I'm on this one. Okay? So pretty easy. So we have to think about it like a native, and really from these individual situations, we can be on the same page or on the same wavelength. We don't really get in a wavelength. You can think about yourself almost like a roller coaster going on it. It's like, oh, I'm riding on the same wavelength. Okay? So rather than trying to imagine like this, like we use on for this situation and on for that one, just try to think about it like a native. That's the whole point. The whole point of what I do is trying to help you understand things like a native. That's why we talk about a small boat. So the boat is like this. It's like a cup, and we have people kind of, they're sitting inside the boat. So we're in the same boat, all right? But a larger thing like a ship, we talk about being on that thing, I mean, I suppose you could be inside rather than standing on the top of it, something like that. But this is a way we think about these expressions. It's interesting because like riding on a bus, let's imagine this is a bus and not a cruise ship. We don't talk about like being on the bus like we're sitting on the top of it, although maybe some people could do that, I guess. We still say, oh, I'm riding on the bus right now. I'm riding on the bus. I'm on the bus. All right? But even if natives use like, oh, I'm in the bus right now. Even if a native said that, what they mean is like they're kind of physically inside the bus, like they have not gotten off the bus. But we typically talk about being riding on a bus like that. And rather than trying to memorize that, just listen for lots of examples when teachers or native speakers are talking about these things, like when they're riding a bus or riding a motorcycle. So like I'm sitting on the motorcycle. I don't ride in a motorcycle because I'm sitting on it, just like a bicycle. So I'm riding on that thing. Okay? But rather than try to memorize rules, look at examples and connect the situation with the vocabulary and try to do it like a native speaker. All right, let's see here. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to go faster. We have too many comments over here. All right. Okay, I think I got that. All right. So 103 watching and only 50 likes. Get the like up. Yes, feel free to like the video and share it with other people if you'd like to help out the channel and actually show more people that it's possible to learn English like a native if they want to speak like one. So I'm scared to talk most part of the time at work because I'm afraid of making mistakes and not finding the word. Yeah, so again, this just means that you don't know the vocabulary as well as you think you do. So if you're worried, maybe I'll say the wrong word or I'll use the incorrect pronunciation or something, then it means you might know it, you have an awareness level of vocabulary, but you don't own that vocabulary. So you'll notice when you're talking about something where you feel very confident about that, even if it's in your native language, when you're confident about something, you speak about it easily because you know it so well. But when you don't feel confident, like I can't talk in a YouTube video about, I don't know, how to make satellites or something like that. I could probably learn how to do that and spend some time researching, but I could not do that right now. How do you make a satellite and send it into space? I don't know how to do that. So I can't speak confidently about that thing. Okay. But if you want to improve not only your fluency, but your confidence, the whole point of this video is that you should be doing this with all of your vocabulary. You should be trying to learn things, and when you really understand something, you will feel it. And that's where the confidence comes from, so you can speak. But if you have a bunch of weak links in your chain, then of course you won't be able to use those things fluently. All right. Let's see. How can addicted with English? I don't know what that means. How many hours should someone speak to be fluent as native speakers? It's really the wrong kind of question to ask. It's more, again, like how long does it take to get fluent in a phrase like to be in the same boat? 5 minutes? How long does that take? We've actually spent a lot of time covering additional things that people are asking about. But to learn something, it's like, oh, look at that. Those people are sitting in the same boat. It's pretty easy to understand. You know the vocabulary already. Now we understand it as one phrase. Oh, look, we are in the same boat. We are in the same boat. So it doesn't take long to become fluent in this. So what I'm saying is that you get fluent in each link in the chain. And if you are not fluent in something, then that's what breaks the chain in a conversation. So you could be speaking fine, and then, oh no, I forgot a word, or I don't feel confident about pronunciation, or some other reason, and that's what causes me to struggle to speak. All right? Kamal says, you are the same as before. I don't know if that's referring to me or someone else. Hala from Iraq, says Ali. So hymn sheet has to do with music. Yes. So again, a hymn is like a church song, a hymn. Saying the words in their English context over and over here allows English words to be associated with each other. Yes, that's correct. That's what we're doing here. Notice when you're talking about associations, this is what I mean by building a network in your mind of all these different things and how they connect to each other. That's what allows you to speak fluently. All right, so this allows English words to automatically call each other without the need for another language. Yes, exactly. And remember, you are doing this in your native language already. This is what native speakers are doing in their native language. Okay? And this just means they've developed a network, they feel very confident about individual words and phrases, and then they use them fluently. They connect them together, the connection becomes automatic, and that's how they can speak. Now, what's interesting, I've talked about this before, is that sometimes native speakers, like let's say I'm writing, I don't know, a letter or an email to someone, but I forget how to spell a word. So I think, oh no, I'm not feeling confident about this word. These other words are fine, I can spell them, no problem, but this word, this link right here, is not good. So I can try to look for the correct pronunciation or spelling in that case if I'm writing something, or I can just use a different word that I'm more familiar with. So a lot of native speakers will do this. They're writing something and they will forget a word or something and they will switch to something else. But it happens very quickly and most people don't think about it. But a lot of English learners, they actually get stuck thinking about individual words and phrases because they're really not knowing them very well. So that's why I spend a lot of time telling people to get naturally varied reviews. So you want to be, look at it, we've spent 40 minutes, 50 minutes talking about two phrases, to go under and to be in the same boat. Now, of course, if we do this and I teach you the right way, then you will remember these things very well. Okay? And even with a good lesson, it's always good to get more review. So tomorrow you would be hearing these things again, but you will probably be recognizing them. Maybe you watch a movie and some characters say, oh, look, we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. So we are facing the same situation. Yeah, yes, that's correct. Do you believe this method? I do believe this method works too. I just wonder how long it will take for me to get fluency I need. Yeah, so you have two choices. The first choice is to learn like a native speaker, and you will get fluent much faster. The second choice is to continue learning like a student, and you will probably not reach fluency. So it's basically like either you understand like a native, so you understand like a fluent speaker, or you do not. So that's basically the choice that you make. Now, it seems like you would be learning faster by just getting translations. So if you're just trying to put more words into your head as quickly as possible, then just get translations of those words. The problem is you won't be able to use them fluently. So it doesn't help you to learn a bunch of words if you will just forget them. This is why we do this. So at the beginning of the process, like if I'm taking two people and I start teaching them today, but I'm going to teach them differently. The first person, I'm going to teach them like this. The second person, I'm going to teach them, hey, here's a sheet of 100 words. I want you to just memorize those words, and here are translations. At the end of day one person will know, like the first person will know maybe like 2 or 3 words and expressions, and the second person will know 100. So it seems like I should be using translations. But the next day, I'm going to teach a few more, and they don't forget the phrases they learned on the first day. So they're continuing to learn more phrases and they don't forget. But the second person, they will have forgotten all of the phrases, or most of them really, by the second day. And so they're just wasting their time. They're running in circles, and that's why they don't get anywhere. So notice like all the things that I'm doing here, if you really pay attention, I'm giving you different ways of expressing things for particular situations. We're really trying to understand what they mean, so you think about them like a native. And then, because we have reviewed them so many times, they will just come out naturally. That's the goal. So I have not found a more effective way to learn a language than this. And if there was, then native speakers would probably be using it. The native speaker is like, you know, the standard, the benchmark. Now, this method actually can get you fluent faster than native speakers get fluent, because if you think about a child learning, they're spending a lot of time listening, and often the lessons are not very good. So the lessons are not systematic, and most parents are not being very systematic about how they teach. So they're not like, okay, let's focus on this word today, and we're going to really help you understand that thing very well. They just maybe say something and the child is listening, and the child is really working hard trying to understand different words and phrases. All right. But if you learn this way, the whole point is to learn it as quickly as possible, to learn it systematically so you remember it and use it fluently. We want to make each chain link. So each chain link, each individual link in the chain, we want to make those all strong so you can use them fluently. All right, let's see here if we have, so I have a, let's see. All right, so Red Kid again, translation allows a word to automatically call up a foreign word, but we don't talk like that. English words need to call up, yeah. So the whole point is yes. So if you're thinking, if you learn through translations, you will think about translations when you speak. That's correct. All right, so I have a problem with that when I'm writing an email at work and I write in English and then translate into Spanish just to make sure it makes sense. I know that I don't know how to stop doing it. Yeah, it just means spend more time with the language as a native would learn it. That's it. So that's what I'm doing here. So this video, this whole video we're doing here together, this is an example of how you should be learning. We've taken two phrases. So we have to go under, it's just one link in the chain of the vocabulary you know, and then we have like to be in the same boat. So each one of these, this is a chain link. This is a chain link right here. And as you get fluent, you will use those more naturally in conversations. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life, where we're giving you vocabulary, helping you understand it like a native, but you're seeing that again and again in many different ways. All right, it's me, the learner. My name is Hamad, by the way. Okay, preposition. I don't know if that's referring to something. Helen says, I'm in a serious situation here. In the past, I didn't focus on the grammar structure and I was not stuck. I could get my message across. Now I'm studying grammar for a test and I feel confused. Yes, so if you're, depending on how you learn, I don't know enough about your situation, Helen, but if you're learning grammar like a native speaker, so like you're learning grammar, you notice there's grammar in this. So you can't really separate vocabulary from grammar. If you have two words together, that's grammar. It just means the rules of how you connect the vocabulary. So often if you're learning it like a native does, you come to understand it over time by connecting it with situations. It's like, look, they're in the same boat. They are in the same boat. That's grammar. We're talking about the preposition of where somebody is. But without me giving you like a textbook lesson about prepositions, I can just show you, look at that. Like here's a boat. So here they're under the boat. All right, now they're in the boat. Now they're next to the boat. And this is what you do with little kids when you're teaching them their native language. So you don't explain what a preposition is, you just show them the words and help them understand from the situation. That's what this little circle is up here. It's a situation. All right, good evening, teacher. I just entered in the classroom. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I try not to think about this as a classroom. I know there's a board up here, but it's just so I can write things. I actually have I have whiteboard wallpaper in my house, so I can write on my wall, and my kids, like, I'll teach them things like this too. But it's not like a classroom. It's just, oh, look at it. Let's write something or show you how it works like a native. But even a simple translation of 4 languages still has words that do not fit or do not make sense to add a meaningless reason without a function in the English sentence, really. Yes. So again, another good reason not to use translations. All right. So hopefully everybody watching this video is on the same page. Hopefully you are reading from the same hymn sheet about how you should be learning. All right. People come to my channel because they want to learn like a native, rather than just get a bunch of vocabulary and forget it. All right, greetings from Yokohama. Yoroshiku, says Tsubasa. Beautiful day out here. Yes, it's pretty nice in Nagasaki. It's a little bit cloudy here, but it's a nice day, a little bit chilly. Julian, again, the idea is to ruminate, chew the vocabulary, internalize the expressions. You are a great guide. Yes, that is it exactly. All right, you want to really get into it. You want to understand the vocabulary like a native. All right, even better than a native. Now you should be able to go to a native and explain what this means. It's like, oh, look, we're on the same page. A native speaker says, what? What do you mean we're on the same page? It's like, yeah, we think the same way. We think the same. And this is how new vocabulary is created, or how we might take vocabulary and then use it in a new way. All right, but it's still the same situation. So look at that, like you and I are both reading from the same physical page over here. We're still reading from the same page. All right. Let's see. All right. Hi from Seoul. Korean and Japanese are so poor at English. Why is that? Asks Yoon-hee, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Koreans and Japanese, I don't know so much about Korea, but I can tell you about Japanese people, and this is maybe broadly for like East Asians as well. But number one, for communication, well, I guess the most basic thing is that they don't learn this way. So they spend a lot of time reviewing vocabulary through their native language. So Japanese kids, if you look at a Japanese textbook from elementary school, a lot of the vocabulary is in Japanese. And then they're also using Japanese translations for learning pronunciation. So like my name in Japanese, I'll write it down here for you. Here. Try to write it clearly. So this is do-ryu. And it sounds funny, but like the English in my name, this sound here, the R, dr, dur, is not in Japanese. And so it just won't fit in the language, and so they just use this. So people have a hard time with my name, and sometimes I just say, oh, call me Andy. I don't really like that name, but it's easier for Japanese people to say, Andy. Dodyu. It sounds like a drill. Dodyu. But anyway, so that's the first problem, and this is people all over the world. So Germans are learning English through German, and it's same thing most places. But the additional thing is the worry about making mistakes. So it's a really frustrating problem, especially like for Koreans and Japanese, maybe Chinese as well. But you have all these doubts about the language because you're learning it through your native language. So like this, like people see my name and they don't know how to read it because they never learned how to read it correctly. So they're thinking in the Japanese way of reading it is like dodyu kana, dodyu. And I say, no, it's Drew. And so very few people are able to say my name, even like my mother-in-law. It's funny to see my two daughters. So their pronunciation is perfect, and they can switch between Japanese and English pronunciation very easily. And so they will correct like people in the house about how to say it. They're like, no, don't say it like that. Say it like this. And these are 4-year-old or my 7-year-old daughter doing that. So you got the problem of like worry and people not wanting to make mistakes. So that's a very, very strong thing, especially in Japan, probably in Korea as well. I heard an interesting story. I'm kind of taking too long about this, but I know a lot of people have this problem. There was a study done about airplane crashes. And so what different countries were having more problems with airplane crashes. And they found like South Korea was number 1 for airplane crashes. And people were trying to figure out why that was. Why is South Korea like higher than any place else in like having airplane crashes? And they found that if you have a pilot, so a Korean pilot and a Korean co-pilot, if the co-pilot notices a problem, he won't say anything to the pilot. Because it's like part of the culture that they won't say anything about that. And so they had to kind of retrain a lot of the pilots to make sure it's okay, like maybe culturally you have a very strong, like I am higher than you socially, but in the airplane, we really want to make sure people can communicate well so they don't crash the airplane. So there are cultural reasons why people might struggle with learning languages, but the nice thing about this is anybody can do this anywhere. Okay, so I teach this if I'm talking with Japanese people and I have the opportunity to teach them something in English. This is what I do. And so this is why I teach my children this way. This is why I teach you all online in the same way. All right. All right. Do you speak fast English or not? Do I speak? You're asking me, do I speak fast English or not? Well, I could, yeah. I could speak much faster than I'm speaking right now. But most people would probably not understand me. Are you teaching live regularly? I teach maybe once or twice a week on YouTube just because it's fun for me to come on and teach. I enjoy teaching. I don't have a private class or a classroom anymore, so I do this. And of course, like for the people that don't care about having me live, they just want to get fluent as fast as possible. This is what we do in Fluent for Life. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can click on the link in the description below this video. All right, so I wish you had been my English teacher. Our teachers taught us to do translation and advise us to study grammar. Yeah. And this is what most people do, because in school, often you don't need to speak. You just need to pass a test. So teachers are doing, what they think is the kind of fastest, easiest thing that they know how to do. And often, a lot of English teachers, actually, they are also not feeling very confident about the language. And many English teachers could not explain the language like this. Even like a high-level English teacher who's a non-native. So in Japan, there are lots of Japanese English teachers who don't really feel very confident themselves about teaching the language, unfortunately. So do you, okay, I was asking, answered that already. Salim, nice to see you there again. I know all grammar rules. I know 20,000 words in English. I don't speak fluently. Let's see, because I know them one by one separately, not with connections. Yes, I want to make it very clear to people that what you're really doing with this approach is you're making the individual words and phrases fluent. So you're becoming fluent in words and phrases. So you become fluent in this phrase by itself. All right? So you could be fluent in this, but not fluent in something else. All right. So as you learn some vocabulary, you use it often, you know it very well, you are fluent in that vocabulary. So the goal is to become fluent in more things. And as you become fluent in more words and phrases, then you become a fluent speaker. Then you express yourself without thinking. All right. So I think your method works for a babu. Well, my method works for everybody. It's how everyone got fluent in their native language. My problem is to speak with people when I am alone, listen or reading is different. Yeah, so there are also people, so Shark says that, this is another problem where the confidence comes from like how you speak. It's almost a connection where you have with someone else. I notice my Japanese is better with random Japanese people I don't know, but when I'm speaking with my mother-in-law, I'm kind of scared of her. So she's like a little lady, but I get worried, and so my Japanese is like, I get and she'll give me an angry look. She's like, like you use the wrong expression or something. So she corrects me, and then I correct her English too. It's interesting. She doesn't want me to teach her English, even though she still kind of learns the traditional way, listening to like radio English in Japan for many years, and she still can't speak. But I'm in the house. I said, look, I'll teach you for free. You don't have to pay me any money. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So she's got a lot of pride. I love her, though. She's a good lady. All right. Abdo says, sorry, I have a question out of today's lesson. I am trying to read books and something in English, but I discovered a lot of words, how I can remember them large amount. Yes, so there's a trade-off about remembering words. It's a slower process at the beginning. All right, so this, you see, we've taken go under and to be in the same boat. That's all I've tried to teach you for 1 hour. Isn't that crazy? We're spending an hour on two things. But because we've done that, you will know them very well, and then you will not forget them later. All right. Let's see. All right. I think I answered that already. Yeah, so again, the point is not to try to learn a bunch of vocabulary. You want to focus on a few things and learn them well, and then that will help you connect with other things as well. Lewis says, do you know about shadowing technique? Yes, people mention shadowing to me sometimes, and yes, shadowing can be helpful, but I say if you're spending more time learning like this, that's the most helpful thing you can do. And another part of this, what we're covering in this video is naturally varied review, and that means we're looking at like one situation and looking at different ways we might say that. But you would also hear this in different tenses. So if I say, hey, we were in the same boat, or we will be in the same boat tomorrow. All right, so again, I'm trying to look at it and teach it to you, give you different contexts, and you should also be hearing from different speakers. So it's much better, rather than to be kind of shadowing one person, to hear 10 different speakers if you could hear them talking about something. Let's see. So thanks. When I watch the video, I always want to watch the subtitles. That's why I want to ask, because I want to know whether I can understand the teacher. Yeah, it's not a bad thing to watch subtitles. I don't worry about that. I will watch subtitles in Japanese sometimes if I'm watching like a song or some movies or something, just so I want to make sure I hear what people are saying. There's nothing bad about using subtitles. What you should do, I mean, you don't want to use like captions in a different language. So you should be using like the actual captioned subtitles if you're following something in English. I think your method works for baby. That's what you meant. You wrote babu, and it's funny because my younger daughter, she will pretend to be a baby sometimes, and she says like babu like that. So I think your method works for baby learning it naturally, but what about us growing up already too? Okay. So let me make this clear for everybody. What I'm teaching you here, like, this is not something you would teach to a baby, but it's in the same way you teach a baby. Okay, so this vocabulary itself is like, a baby doesn't need to learn, oh, we're in the same boat, and a baby couldn't say that anyway. But a baby is still learning the language the same way. And recognize that in your native language, it doesn't matter what your language is, maybe your language is Thai or whatever, but when you're learning new things in your native language, you're hearing them from different people, you're hearing it in your native language, and you're getting the same kind of naturally varied review. So you're doing the same thing at every age. It doesn't matter. So it's not like this only works for babies and it doesn't work for adults. Like we don't change the way we learn as we get older like that. We can try to be more efficient about things, but really this is the best thing you can do to become a fluent speaker. So the human mind thinks in stories and connections. It doesn't think like, okay, let me remember like a matrix of grammar points. We're not really thinking about the language that way. All right, hopefully that makes sense. I still have not gotten to the third phrase I want to teach. You guys. All right, I went through a very long process and finally realized why translation method will never work. Yeah, so again, just think about what you do in your native language and then apply that to learning English. That's all you have to do. I don't know how to watch the videos without subtitles. Yeah, it's okay. Basically, you should be spending more time listening to things, and you will get used to listening to English if you get naturally varied review. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life. The whole point of the program is to get you used to lots of different kinds of speakers. So the more you do that, then it becomes easier when you're in conversations or watching movies. So if you try to watch a new movie every day, it's like a different speaker and the content is different. It's really difficult for you to start following that, because one person could have a clear voice and they're talking about rabbits and trains or something, and then in the next movie it's someone with a hard to understand voice. Maybe they have a difficult accent or they speak very quickly and they're talking about, I don't know, nuclear experiments or something. I have no idea. But the point is, you need to review the same information in different ways. You need to hear really the same movie from a couple of different speakers. This is why watching plays is a good thing to do, or listening to speeches or popular music, because you can hear the same song sung by different people. Now, if you listen to 10 different people sing a popular song, you're going to get very good at hearing the slight differences in their pronunciation. And that will make it much easier to understand movies or TV shows or other conversations. All right? But it's the review that gets you fluent. It's not watching new content all the time. You have to review that to get fluent. All right. I don't know how to... Okay, I answered that one question. To ask if yours really works for us, what I meant is that it is too late to learn like this. No, you're learning like this right now. So of course it's not too late. Like I said, you learn new things in your native language all the time. You are still learning new things in your native language right now. You don't change the way you learn. The process doesn't stop until either you're dead or maybe your brain just doesn't work very well. But this is the way we get fluent. You learn new stories, new vocabulary, all these new things in your native language, and you're learning them like this. If you learn a new word or phrase in your native language, and you don't hear that again and again in different ways, you will forget that vocabulary too. You might hear it and recognize it, so you're at the awareness level, but you're not at the ownership level. You couldn't actually communicate fluently about that thing. So that's why we get this same process. It doesn't matter what language it is. All right. You need to go, okay. If someone is talking about subtitles, so YouTube will probably not generate subtitles for my live video, but I put subtitles on later. It takes usually like a day or two, but you can definitely use subtitles to watch videos. It is not natural for Japanese ears to hear consonant at the end of a word. Yes, that's another issue specifically for Japanese people. Ildos says, hello teacher, good evening for you. I live here in Brazil, but it seems we live on the moon. Wow, that's pretty cool, live on the moon. Huh? It's incredible how schools all over the world teach English with such ineffective method. We just need to forget the traditional way of teaching. Yeah, and again, they're thinking about it for just passing tests. And they want to try to give you like 10,000 words as quickly as possible to pass a test, but then those people can't speak. And so that's why they're creating all of these learners for me, basically. So hello, welcome. It's not your fault if you have learned that way. I learned the same way as well, and that's why a lot of people struggle to communicate. Many thanks to you. We all like your kids, yeah. Again, I teach my own children the same way. I teach my wife things if I'm trying to teach her something, and this is how I learn Japanese as well. So I have a question. I think I'm trying to read. Okay, I read that one. All right, so Julian says, in just 2 weeks, I've acquired more knowledge than I did during my entire 5 years of high school. Thanks. Are you referring to watching my videos or something, Julian, or something else? Are you in Fluent for Life? I don't know if you are or not. Your English is really good, though, or your written English anyway. But yeah, I'm glad to hear it. Rama says, I have many vocabulary, but when I speak with other, I forget them all. Yes, again, if you think you know them, so you have awareness level maybe, or exposure level for most of the vocabulary, but then you can't use it fluently in a conversation. All right, I'm gonna have to go through these pretty quickly. I understand a lot of vocabulary, but I can't speak very well. Yes, so that's the issue we're talking about today. We hope you do some episode of podcast, just random talking. It will be very useful. Yeah, well, this is what we have. We have this in Fluent for Life, and also about, you can go back and watch some of the podcast episodes. These are a bit more useful for people, I think, than just listening to the podcast, but there's lots of information about that already. Let's see, Optimist Jaspreet with the big pink hand there. Yes, a lot of boom. There we go. And Ellen is back. Konnichiwa, Drew. I just got here. Better late than never. Glad to see you teaching live. Yes, it's my pleasure. Let's see. Teacher, many thanks for explains. So again, we would say many thanks for your explanations. Explanations, if we're talking about the noun there. Why don't drink some warm water now? Because you already talk a lot for us. Actually, I'm a little bit, whoa, look at this. I have my usual bottle of water, but I got something else in here today. You can guess what it is. It's not beer. It's not beer, I promise. It's something else. See if you can guess what it is. And it's not tea. It's also not tea. All right. Because I'm drinking water now. Learn vocabulary. Apple juice. Yeah, I guess it kind of looks like apple juice. Looks like apple juice a little bit. No, it is not apple juice. All right. Now, I promised you I would teach 3 phrases. We've actually covered quite a few, but let me remove some of this from the board. And we'll go back to our little boat. These lessons always take longer than I expect. Barley tea. No, it is not. All right, last phrase for the day. We'll go back to my little boat example over here. So we began today talking about going under. So you can imagine a boat sinking in the water. The boat is going under. We also talked about being in the same boat. So we have like two people sitting in this little boat. Oh, look at that. We're in the same situation. We're in the same boat. The final phrase that we're going to do is to right the ship. So another phrase having physically to do with the boat, and this one we're going to turn it this way even though it's a flat boat. If you look at the way a boat works, usually it's a long, thin thing like this, and they usually have some kind of keel. So the keel is the kind of fin, just like a fish, along the bottom. Sometimes they have one, sometimes they don't. But the point is to help the boat so it doesn't tip over like that, to tip over. It's another good phrasal verb, to tip over, to tip over. So the boat might lean from side to side like this. This is called listing. And you don't have to remember all these words. I'm just putting them down in case people might want to know what they are. But again, we want to, if the boat goes over too far, oh no, it capsizes. And now we get water all in the boat. So if you can imagine the boat, I should have got it like a thicker boat. An origami boat is probably not the best idea for this, but hopefully you understand it anyway. So we have our boat. If it tips over too far to one side, oh no, then we get water inside the boat. It capsizes, to capsize. To capsize. So this just means it's tipping over to one side, it gets filled with water, and no. All right. So when this happens, we want to right the boat, to make it right. So this is a verb, to right the ship, to right the boat, to right the boat, to make it go up straight. All right. So this is the physical idea of where we get this. So this phrase comes from just trying to get a boat to stay up straight, to right the boat, or to right the ship. Typically we will use ship because we're talking about like a larger thing. So a larger boat, like a cruise ship or a larger ship, rather than a small boat like we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. All right. So now if we have to right the ship, so we want to right the ship, the basic idea there, again, we're trying to make something go correctly the way it should be going. And then we can, of course, use that in much more figurative and a lot of different situations, which I'll give you now. So as opposed to where we have something, well, I'll just give you a few examples and make this very easy. So in a, let's say a business situation, you might be starting a new project that's actually going to do something very bad for the company. So it's going to cost the company a lot of money. The company will not do very well, and then, oh no, the company goes under. The company goes under. So we want to right the ship. So people might be trying to do one thing, but they're actually not doing it very well, or they should do something different instead. We want to right that thing. Or a university, for example, maybe they have a new policy. So they have a new rule or a new law, but the students don't like it. People are very upset about that, and it's causing the university to go in a bad direction. If they continue doing that, they will capsize. So when you write something, it usually means there's a problem of some kind, but you can see how this could be talking about a problem anywhere. All right, so this is not just about boats. Often vocabulary will come from a particular situation, but then we use it to talk about things in like a figurative way. So we could talk about a problem in business, a problem in a relationship, a problem with a local community, a problem with cooking, a problem with all kinds of things. All right, so we want to right the ship. We want to make the situation good again. All right. So now that we understand this, any questions about that so far? So a company is going down the drain. Yes, that's another way you could express that as well. So if we think about like a bath, we're looking at it from the top. This is the drain down here, and the water is going around. So the boat goes down the drain. If we look at it from the side, maybe this is our bathtub. There's a drain down here. There's a little pipe. And here's the boat. Oh no, it's going down the drain. Okay, so you can see how something physical gives us a figurative expression. Oh no, all of my hopes and dreams are going down the drain. My plans are going down the drain. Oh no, I spent all my money. My money is going down the drain. Makes sense? So once you understand something physically like a native, it's much easier to start thinking, oh, there are lots of things that could go down the drain. Okay, but good example. So the same kind of thing, just like we're talking about righting a ship, we can talk about something going down the drain. Oh no, my career is going down the drain. I've been wasting my time and not doing what I should be doing. All right. My time is going down the drain. Same thing. All right. Hopefully everyone is getting this. All right. People are still asking what I'm drinking over here. It's just mint. So some brewed mint water. Mint water. I guess you could kind of call that tea because you're brewing some leaves, but my wife made that for me, so she just took some boiling water, poured it in a pot of mint, some mint leaves, and then there we go. It's actually a little bit too strong, but it's pretty good. I watered it down a little bit. Another good expression for you. Look how all these expressions just magically, naturally come up here to water something down. So this is something, we'll just say X. Easier that way. Part of the reason my writing is bad is because I'm trying to write quickly for people. All right, so to water something down, if we imagine I have a drink here, and it's got some ice cubes in it, and it's got maybe this much, let's say this is all rum. So I've got some rum in here, and wow, that rum is very strong. I need to pour some water in this, and so it raises the level up here. I've watered it down. So I've diluted that. So dilute something, to dilute it. Okay. But back to the vocabulary at hand, back to the specific vocabulary we're talking about here. So again, we want to write something, and there are lots of different things we could write. So we could write the ship about a company. We could write the ship about, many of the other examples I gave. Business, sports, community, family life, all kinds of things. All right. Check questions one last time here. So yes. In terms of pronunciation, a lot of people focus too much on segmental pronunciation. I don't know what you mean by that. But you should be learning, for pronunciation, you should be learning how words connect together, but you should also learn the sounds of English. This is what we teach in Frederick. But you should click on the link in the description to learn more about that. Kind of liquid that can drink. Apple juice. Yes, Marion is funny. All right, Rocky says, I have always thought people around the world do not speak 100% our native language because we spoke 100% of our language. We would speak about anatomy, maths, engineering, medicines, and so on. Yes, that's correct. So if you look at like the actual percentages of vocabulary, it's like 2% that people use. So if there are like 100,000 or 170,000 English words in common use, people use about 2% of those. If you know 2% of the vocabulary, that's most of movies and TV shows, books, newspapers, that kind of thing. So everything else is like you're saying, specific technical vocabulary and other things like that. All right, so company going down the drain, got that one. Hey, dude, how was going? I missed you here. Great teacher greetings from Brazil, says Tiago. Nice to see you there. Elizabeth says, hello. At the beginning, my software project had problems, but the team was able to right the ship. Very good. Excellent usage. For the first time watching you live, says Sadam. Yes, welcome. Welcome to the show. Okay, so for today, we're going to wrap this up. To end this. Close this lesson now. So we have spent time today talking about specific vocabulary and really helping you understand it like a native. The whole point is to spend a lot of time, and really you don't want to just spend time. It's just as much time as you need to really understand something. And you'll know you understand something when you feel it. You have that feeling like, I got it. I know exactly what I'm talking about here. So we have to go under. So we have to go under to be in the same boat. And then we have, what's the final expression? Do you remember? Somebody write it. Somebody be quick. Write the final expression here. To right the ship. All right, to right the ship. So we can take all of these and we can form sentences out of this. So if we know all of these, like, oh, there's a problem with the company. We are all in the same boat right now. If we do not right the ship, we will go under. Okay? So I can work all three of these into one sentence, or I can just use them individually in sentences just to make my English sound a little bit nicer. Oh, you also are studying to be a doctor. We're in the same boat. We are in the same boat. Even just using this by itself, we are in the same boat. All right? The company is not doing very well right now. We need to right the ship. The political party. I'm nervous about the Democrats or Republicans or whatever your political affiliation is. They need to right the ship or they are going to lose a lot of people. They need to change the way they're doing things. They need to fix the problem. So there's nothing wrong with saying like fix the problem or something different. The point is that if you know the vocabulary very well, it's like, look, to right the ship. You understand what that means. We're trying to take a ship that's tipping over to one side and we got to right the ship. Get it going straight, get it moving ahead. Okay? And then to go under, oh no, look at that. The boat is going down, down, down. Oh no. It went under. The company went under, unfortunately. So actually there's video or channels on YouTube talking about old companies that don't exist anymore. I think, actually I don't remember any of the names of these channels, but you can look and find those about like, I think actually Defunct Land is one. So D-E-F-U-N-C-T, defunct. Defunct means it's not working anymore, not available anymore, defunct. So like Disneyland, you have defunct land. Defunct land. But this is about companies that have gone under. So companies that used to be around. Like many years ago, I would go to the local video store and get a video cassette to watch at my house. This was a place called Blockbuster Video. And so that was a large company. And there are more than just Blockbuster. But Blockbuster went under. Or if they're still around, I don't know what they're doing, but basically they have gone under, I think. Okay? So you don't have to think about, okay, how do I like squeeze all of these into one sentence? But the point is, if you know them well enough, you will recognize them easily, you will understand them, you will feel confident about them, you will remember them, and you will be able to use them in conversations. Okay? Any questions about that? All right. Okay, I think. Hello from Turkey. Ronaldo says, if we are talking about a company, the ship word in the phrase means the company, right? Yes, so you're talking about like the ship, so we need to write the ship. So the expression, the thing you say is ship, but the meaning is the company or the team or the local group or something like that. So people know what you're talking about. We're talking about it as like a figurative expression, not literally. So we are not on a boat. We are talking about it like it's a boat. So there's a problem with the company. Maybe we don't like what management is doing, or they are losing money, or they are making bad decisions. So they're causing the boat to list like that. It's slowly tipping over, then oh no, that's the end. And then it goes under. Okay? So right now, we need to right the ship or it will go under. All right? So you might have a big company meeting. Hello, everyone. Unfortunately, we had some bad months where we didn't get much sales, didn't have many sales. And so now we are in the same boat with some trouble for the company. So we are all in this together. We are all in the same situation. And we are going under right now. We need to right this ship if we want to save our jobs. Okay? So there are different ways you can practice these. Again, you notice how we've taken an hour. How long is this? 90 minutes. Jesus. 90 minutes. With it's like 30 minutes for each phrase. We didn't do that, but we spent a lot of time talking about these different things. But But hopefully that makes sense. The more time you spend with the vocabulary, the more memorable it becomes, and the more confident you will feel about using it. All right. So idiomatic expressions like these can help increase speaking band score in the IELTS exam. Yeah, I think that's true. So defunct, I learned that recently from a words book. Yeah. So again, like you have awareness of that. So it's like, like I heard that word before. That means you have an awareness of it. But when you own it, it's like, yeah, defunct. I know what that means. Defunct. Bro, greet me please. I'm from Colombia. It says Alejandro. Bro, greet me please. Greet me please. Here we go. Actually, Going Under is a song by Evanescence. Yeah, it's probably a song by many people. Is defunct like being lazy or something? No, defunct means it doesn't work anymore. Or it doesn't. It's like you could have a defunct machine or a defunct company. So there might, like, it doesn't exist or it doesn't work anymore. Henry says, great lesson from El Salvador. I hope more idioms like these. Yes, we teach thousands of these things in Fluent for Life. So this is what we do. We don't spend like time kind of going through things like in this much detail because you spend the whole month focusing on words and phrases like this. So hopefully tomorrow, if you come back, I recommend you actually watch this video again tomorrow, even just the same video, and it will help you. Even if you only listen to it, you will learn a lot more. All right. Answer a few last questions here. Mido says, we want the most important 3,000 words. Cambridge, please, according to, we want the most. We want the most important 3,000 words. Yeah, that's, I think, like, that's a typical thing people ask for, but everybody has different kinds of conversations. So it's better to focus on the vocabulary you need for your life. So Bruno asks, are we live? We are, until we are not. And then this will just be a video you can watch anytime. Beatrice says, during the COVID-19, most industries go under. Yes, many industries did go under or went under. Or you can talk about specific businesses. I remember there was like a children's play area inside a local mall around where I am now, and that went under. So I think like a lot of those around Japan, because parents didn't want to take their kids and play at those, so they went out of business. They went under. I think it's defunct now. Which is the past of the word? Which is the past of the word? I don't know what you mean by that. Can we say, let them be in your boat instead of be in your shoes? Well, yeah, I mean, remember that the difference between being in someone's shoes means you are kind of in a situation where they used to be. It's not like at the same time. So if you're in the same boat with someone at the same time, like I could be in one city and someone else could be in a different city, but maybe we are both looking for work. So we're in the same boat. We're both experiencing that at the same time. That's what that means. So you think about it physically like two people sitting in the same boat. But you can also talk about someone like in the past. So right now I have a job, but I was looking for a job last week. And so if someone else is looking for a job right now, I can say, oh, last week I was in the same boat. All right, so you're talking about the same situation, even if it's not at the same time, but the same situation is the important part. To be in someone else's shoes usually means like you're now experiencing, you could talk about it that way, like I'm in the same boat as that person, but usually it's at a different time. So or I mean, it could even be like I have a job and maybe someone else does not have a job. And like if I'm laughing at that person, they say, aha, like you don't have a job or whatever. So I'm like being mean to that person, making fun of that person. Then I would be like, if I lose my job, then oh no, now I'm in their shoes and now I understand. So usually there's a little bit of a lesson there where it doesn't mean you're only doing something bad, but it means like now you're in a situation where you understand what they feel or how they feel. All right. Yes, ask ChatGPT for the 3,000 most commonly used words. Yeah. So again, people are looking for a list of words when you really should be looking for fluency in words. All right. So whatever, Cambridge will tell you what those important words are, but they release a lot of textbooks that a lot of people maybe aren't getting fluent with. So you just have to think about what your priority is. What are you interested in? Do you need to become a fluent speaker, or you just want to know a bunch of words? You can be both, but you have to learn the native way. So I'm an English teacher in Indonesia, and I have recommended you to channel my students. Thanks for the great work. Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for recommending it. Let's see. Rainier says, do you recommend stories, pictures, books as a way to learn, like the book Tense Situation in Contrast and Context by Heart? I don't know what those specific books are, but yeah, absolutely. I recommend books. So we created a whole app that teaches people how to read so they can start teaching themselves the language that way. It's called Frederick. If you have not downloaded that already, get that. You can try it for free. Just get it in the link below this video. All right. Yes, I think we are done. Look at that. We really need the 3,000 most. Yeah. It doesn't matter. A lot of people will know that vocabulary, but still not speak. So it doesn't matter if you know the vocabulary. If you can't use it, then you're wasting your time. So it's much better to have a smaller vocabulary. Think about children. Just remember children. They know fewer words. My daughters, maybe they don't know the 3,000 most, Cambridge's most used vocabulary, but they speak better than a lot of my students. And not even my students, just like any English learners. And that's because people are I'm focusing on my daughters developing fluency rather than just trying to memorize a bunch of words. All right. So over time, they will have a huge vocabulary and they will use it fluently. But it's a little bit slower at the start because we're taking time to really build that foundation for them. We really want them to have a strong, like a web or a connection inside their head to help them speak. All right, Ronald says, thanks a lot. Graphic books, I think they mean, but anything that, as long as it's understandable and you're doing it in English, then that's great. SAAJ Kumar Saj says, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. I would like to know the difference between in, onto, and onto. All right, I'm not covering that right now. I've been talking for 100 minutes. So you can, any things like that, I would recommend is getting more examples of those things on YouTube. You can even find examples. Go to our YouTube channel if you're not on it already, and you can watch the Best Beginning English playlist. It covers prepositions like that. In 2020, I did know around 3,000 words. However, I was unable to speak. Yeah. So again, I don't want to laugh at that, but this is what happens. It's like, wasn't this fun? Was this not fun for people? Where you learn like a native speaker? Is that boring for people? Was that not fun? Would you rather I just give you a list of words and you get translations for them? Would that be better? I hope not. That's like every other YouTube channel teaching English. Yeah. If you prefer that, there are lots of channels that do that already. They'll teach you in Japanese or Thai or Chinese or whatever, and then you will start thinking through your native language. So you will learn some more vocabulary. But I'm always curious if maybe this is not fun for some people. Like they don't like learning the native way. That seems weird to me, but maybe not everybody is interested. Thank you for being with us in the same boat. Yes, it's my pleasure. So I'm also trying to get fluent. I'm also trying to, and when I say trying to get fluent, it's like my chain of vocabulary that I know in Japanese. There's some things that I've just heard for the first time. And I think, oh, wow, that's an interesting thing. I've got my awareness level of that, but I don't own it yet. I don't yet feel confident enough about using it. But over time, I do. So I spend more time with the vocabulary to really become good at using it. All right? All right. Oh, my goodness. It's time for me to shut this down. So Bruno says, totally agree with you on it. Glad to hear. Thank you so much. You're the best. Thank you for your lessons. Thank you, Mr. Hanks. Yes, I was waiting for someone to call me Tom Hanks again. I think I get more Tom Hanks, like people saying I look like Tom Hanks whenever I get a haircut. I got a haircut yesterday. All right. Absolutely not, says Ronaldo. Do you have a show on TV or something? Because I think I've seen you on TV. I've been on TV in Japan, but not in, like, I'm not famous or anything. Cedar says, hi, C, love learning the way you teach. Thanks so much. I like your style. I like to get fluent in a natural way. Yeah. And so again, it might seem slower, like, oh, look, we just talked about 3 phrases, but you will feel much more confident if you learn this way, and you will learn faster over time, I promise. Thank you for your help. And Fuching says, I'm really happy to find your channel, and surprisingly, I'll be able to understand what you say. Yes, so it shouldn't be surprising. I'm intentionally being slower and more clear, easy for people to understand. So what we do in Fluent for Life is take you from understanding this level to understanding a variety of actual native speakers. So I'm a native speaker as well, but I do a lot of teaching in this. This is my speaking voice, all right? So to help you make sure everything is understandable, make sure it's all clear. No, it was not him. It was Tom Hanks on TV. Yes, it was probably Tom Hanks on TV as well. Why are you guys still asking him? Let him rest. It's fun and satisfying. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to cut it there because you can hear my voice. If you go back and watch this, I will make this video available for people to watch, and you can hear the difference in my voice over time. Now I'm like, ugh. I have to drink my special mint water again. Give it a try if you like mint. It's very tasty. All right. Julian says, we are all present here because we have come to the realization that the previously attempted methods have proven ineffective. Yes, you are a wordsmith. You have a way with words, Julian. Very good. Thank you. Yes. Are you in Japan right now? Yes, I'm in Nagasaki, Japan. Is your name Mido because your name is like Midori or something? Are you Japanese? All right, red kid over there, leaving with a smiley face. I hope in future would be fluent like you and be in the same boat. Yes, so you could and you will be if you learn this way. It's the same way you got fluent in your native language, and it's the same way you get fluent in English. No, I'm not. Okay. All right, well, everybody, hope you have enjoyed this. It's been my pleasure teaching you today and helping you learn like a native the same way I help my own kids. If you'd like to learn more and you want to get like me all the time without having to be, at a live video, then just click on the link to learn more about Fluent for Life. It will help you go through this process, and I promise you will become a much more fluent, confident speaker very quickly if you follow the steps. That's all you have to do. All right. The plan is very expensive for me. Do a discount, please. If you're talking about the price of Fluent for Life, probably get the native fluency blueprint first. So this is more for people who are independent, who just want to know some steps and things they can do to speak more clearly, have better pronunciation, improve their grammar, things like that. So we cover all those different things. Fluent for Life is really for people who want me to take them step by step and show them actually how to communicate. All right, I'm going to shut it down. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.